I'm Carolyn Mignini, and I am so lucky to be here. I get to play the amazing Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Dr. Ruth, she's still with us. She's 96 now, and oh wow, I knew of her. I never really listened to her on the radio back when, but of course, you couldn't be in New York and not know of her. And I was in New York at the time. I started out in theater, wanted to do musicals. I've spent my life as an actress and singer, and then went to TV. I did a lot of commercials, and then we moved to LA, raised our kids there. I did a lot of television. It's just been, and here I am, honestly. And I didn't know anything about her except that she was this delicious little woman with this sweet accent who was just shocking everyone with her clear, generous, hilarious sexual advice. And then to read about her story, I told my husband, working on this, because it's a one-person piece, so it's a long play to memorize and just dive in. It's all her, me as her, telling her story. And I said, thank God she is this upbeat, formidable survivor. Because if I said, what if it were a depressing person, and I was just left to memorize all of this. So it's just been great to learn about her, first of all, and to kind of feel her, as you do when you're researching a part, and her spirit. It's her spirit and her willingness to live, her desire to live. It's just it's filled my heart these past months, And Roy wrote me. He texted and said, how would you feel about playing Dr. Ruth this summer? And I thought, wow, how great! Send, I'll get a copy of the script. And I read the script, and it was just, whoa, how could I not do this? So I continue to be a very lucky person. Well, this is a unique experience because there is, to explain, there's no fourth wall. No, there's no imaginary other outside. I actually see the audience and communicate with them. And I've done that one other time. I played Maria Callas in a play called Masterclass. But she has other people come in, and she, in that play, she experiences an opera singer comes in and she talks to her and to the audience. This one, the process, because I'm a singer, so I have done evenings of song where I talk and then I go into the song. And this play is presentational in that I'm talking to them. I'm saying, all right, is everybody happy? And then I am in an experience that she has. So it kind of goes, and yet mostly it's about them. They are my scene partners in a way. So that's random every night, And people are always they're gracious. They're sitting in their seats, so the process initially is strictly memorizing. I arrived with the script memorized, knowing that it was all going to fall apart when I had to walk and talk and do all these things I do. But for that I set I had a calendar. I memorized half a page a day, and then would review it the next day, and then get into the next half page. So it took me, it's roughly 30 pages, and it took me about a month and a half, and then to just run it. And my husband was great, I'd run what I knew, and I just did it, and then I thought, oh well, I don't want to learn it with the accent. So I also, as soon as I got, we were confirmed to do the job, I called a wonderful dialect coach that I've worked with in Los Angeles. And she and I just started, going through the script, and then I'd work on the parts that we had, and then we'd have another session, and then I'd go through, and the script is marked with many different colored pencils. Like here's where the TH is, and this is the V's and the W's. And then she is so idiosyncratic. Her dialect is not, it's German basically, but it's also got other things. Anyway, so there was that, and I added that pretty early on, to my surprise, and I had to kind of relearn it. And so that was it. So I arrived here. We did a read through the first day, and I did it from memory, and then you know, deconstructed everything and created the evening. And Roy is like, you know, he kind of had it in his head anyway, but we discovered where I would be, and then I put the puzzle pieces together. I'll tell you something, it becomes, because of course there's a lot of her on YouTube, so the combination, it really becomes about the character more than understanding who she is and how she talks. And she uses her hands, and she's always upbeat, and she's always she has this finger that she would tell you things. You know, it's so it becomes where I integrate a kind of physical reality for that character. It doesn't feel like a different language exactly. I love it because I have a good ear for it. So it's, you know, I'm a singer, so maybe that's why, I don't know. But so I really like accents. Yeah. Well, it would be different though. Learning the language is different from the accent.
Yeah.
Because I'm still speaking English, and then I just kind of tilt it and bend it, you know, to fit the accent. And it gives also a kind of rhythm, because accents really are as much about rhythm and pitch as they are about, you know, what you do with your lips and your, you know, and the German is, you know, very much from the back, the throat, you know, so you you get used to using, you know, the soft palate, the back of the throat. It's good. Actually, none of it's hard. It's Mark St. Germain wrote a great piece. This that has a flow to it. It never goes all. It goes down the rabbit hole of sadness. And one of the things I discovered in working on this is that she has a deep grief in her. It's not like it's buried. It is overcome by a formidable spirit and a will to feel the joy of life. But there is a loss there. And I realized, and when I first started working on it, I was breathing, because I was breathing shallowly, because I'm aware of it, you know, you have to really be able to send out the sound. And I realized that there's a part of her that doesn't breathe all the way down. You know, it might have to do with, this is my interpretation, who knows. But in telling the sad stories, it is always relating something that happened in the past. So again, as I say, it's presentational, but I think it's also experiential. So, you know, for instance, when she's talking about when she was in Palestine and they were attacked, and I think it was Jerusalem, and she was thrown into a wall. You know, we have it where I'm thrown into a wall, and then since I realized my legs and my feet were covered with blood, you know, so I actually imagine that, you know, in telling the story, it's how you would tell the story, but there is also a component of living it to tell it better. So yeah, I don't find any of it difficult. You know, he really crafted a wonderful play, so that those things, and we flow through that part of the story, and then there'll be something that is lighthearted because she rises. She always rises as a person, and he's got it. He got her, you know, and the things that happened to her, you know, the kinder transport and the you know, and living in the kibbutz, and then moving here and marrying these men as a young person, and the yearning, and the loss, and the hilarity. You know, it's really fun. I'm lucky. Wow. I mean, especially that bunch, you know. Yeah, I don't know if I can mention is Brian Cranston and his beautiful wife Robin. We've been friends for years. He and my husband, Steve Vinovich, uh, they did a TV series a long time ago when we were living in LA. The kids were little. And, uh, and so we all became fast friends. And Bill Timoney and Georgette, they were up in the top row, and I could see them. You know, I didn't. I just you can see them, and but you know they're troopers like we are. Brian's as he appears to be is the salt of the earth, and um, and so they were asking me some same of the questions you were. Kind of, Brian said, well, how'd you do, because we're all interested in it. It's what we do. And so that was great. And if you're a theater person, I mean, that's how I started. All I wanted to do was be in a musical. I knew every single musical. I had the albums. I knew all, and I got to do some of the ones that I had, on Broadway. So that was the coolest. Fiddler on the Roof and the Fantastics off Broadway. I got to do them when I moved to New York. Um, so I'm a theater person, but that does not preclude. I mean, I just did a movie last summer, and being on that set, and because you have to show up in a way because you don't have a long rehearsal period. So the difference between that is that I got to know the crew. I was in the thing all summer. It was a SAG waiver thing because we were on strike. But so it was like a family, like a little traveling, like Brigadoon, like a little traveling family. And, but generally, often if you're doing television, this is the experience of doing it, not so much as of seeing it. When you're doing television, if you do a guest spot, you come in and they are already a group, so you really prepare because you're gonna, you don't want to waste time on the set. And I've come to love it. I didn't think I would because I thought all the sitting around was going to bug me, but I really have come to enjoy it a lot. Sometimes, I don't always love seeing myself, it's something, but sometimes I do, it just depends. And going to see it. Theater, I always go to the theater, it's just part of my life. It always will be. There's not, even in LA, I mean, there's not as much theater in LA. It's not like New York. I'd moved back to New York after we raised the kids. We both did. We went back to New York for about 10 years, and it was great. I mean, I went to the theater all the time and did a lot of theater. Um, you know, uh, Coming here and doing this because I haven't done a theater piece, I guess, in about maybe 4 years or so. And yeah, no, it was just before COVID. I was back in New York, did a show. Um, and so coming here and doing this, the experience of doing it, and going to the theater, it's kind of it's everything for me. It's how I started, and and but I'll tell you, I've come to enjoy both very much. I love movies. I mean, we go to the movies. We don't just wait till they come. We love the popcorn. We go and watch movies. My husband, he knows everything. He knows every director, he's brilliant. Yeah, well, this show is a little different because seeing them, um, it feels a little more vulnerable than creating an imaginary wall and world in which you're talking to other actors on stage and experiencing things. And when you're looking out, you're looking kind of through an imaginary window or at a piece of furniture or something. But in this case, it's out there. Like I say, it's initially a little more vulnerable, and yeah, but yeah, strangers are great because it's all about, the piece. When friends are there, it's also great. I would say the only distinction might be there is that feeling when there are critics in the audience in the show. Isn't just your hide that's at stake. It's the show. Is this show going to be a success? Will I mess it up or I do something? So there's always that as part of the game. It really is part of the game. But as for having friends in the audience, and they asked me, they said, "Do you want to know when we're coming?" I said, "Like, I'm not going to see you." I talked to the audience. I said, "Yeah, when are you coming?" And, but I don't mind when my friends are there. It's kind of sweet, It's just, it's that element, I remember some teacher or somebody, director, said, "Look, you get judged for a living. It's what you do, It isn't always you getting judged, it's the material or the event, but it feels like you. It's okay though. You become accustomed to it. Oh, there's so many. There are so many. I mean, the telephone. I'm on the phone a lot because this is how we have other conversations. And also, here we go. Dr. Ruth's Good Sex board game. Have you ever played it? And, yeah, let's see. What else do I love? I love the pictures. And yeah, because, I wrap things up and kind of put them away. I never really get very far with it. No, look at this set. I mean, look how it feeds you. The world that the designer and the set decorator create, it completely, if you let it in, and you must, it feeds you. It fills, it just gives you, you can make it up in your head, but if you walk out here and I see these rugs and these shelves and the curtains, and then there's a projection during the show of the actual view from her apartment of the Hudson River, and you let it in, you're already 50% there. You don't have to do a lot. So yeah, I love props. I like things, to do. And then those are the chairs where I look little. Oh yeah, I meditate. Not a lot because I'm usually my adrenaline is up because I know I'm going to be performing. So it's just to keep my energy in my body, because it can pop right out. You just and I want to be able to really be present in that way. So that's the internal work, and the rest is pinning my hair, getting the wig on, make sure my makeup's good. I like to get to the theater early. I like to be in the space of the theater. So no matter what I'm doing, I'm there an hour early, hour before the show. Yeah, it's something Dr. Ruth's father always told her. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. We do this in a way. I feel it chooses us. My dad loved to sing. He didn't ever sing professionally, but he taught me to sing, and somehow that was what I was just going to do. And then he brought a record of an Ed Sullivan compilation of My Fair Lady, and I tried to sing all those songs. I mean, I would play those because so it created it was a thing for me, and it was something we had. So I was always going to do it. That was always going to be something from very early on. And that's what I find most people who are in the arts, it's a calling almost, not like a religious thing, just it's like you got to do it, And then you put up with all the rejection and the work. It's the work. To this day, I go to acting class when I can. When I moved back to New York, back in 2011 or something, I went back and took more voice lessons. And I teach singing. I teach actors and singers how to perform a song because I love it. And I've had such great teachers. So that would be my advice is, see everything you can, fall in love constantly with performances and with plays that you've seen that inspire you or movies, it doesn't matter, and never stop learning. Just put yourself in a little jeopardy. Go learn, even if it's something not related to theater. But yeah, and then dive in, diving into this accent and finding out about her life and seeing her. This play for me started, I guess, in February, when Roy sent me the, when I read the play, and Roy said, "You want to do this?" So it's enjoy it all, and don't stop. So that would be my advice. And as some famous movie star said, if you're in Los Angeles, said, what would be, I think it was Betty Davis or somebody, said, what would be your advice to young actors, if you know Los Angeles? She said, take Fountain. Fountain is the street below Sunset, but better traffic. So take Fountain and do your work. Yeah.